Right. So in your packets, you have the original Paid on Call program that was last adopted or modified back in 2020. And then, as you know, we've been talking about potential changes to the program and that in your packet as well, which kind of modifies and it does a couple things. One is it moves the definition of firefighter in good standing. So talking with Jim, one of the things that we want to do is we want to have determine what a firefighter in good standing means, and then have that be a qualification for the paid on call program, the stipend program, and then also the Robert Wolf program, which we'll get to at a later date. So if you are a firefighter in good standing, you qualify for all three. And right now, Jim has this spreadsheet that is a little bit cumbersome, and that's one of the things that we're trying to uh, correct with modifying it. So, Jim, do you want to talk about the firefighter and good standing? Is there anything in here changes?
Certainly to be a firefighter or the paid on call type program. Have to make 12 drills. Have to all of your online training.
Jim, let me just, before you go on, if you don't mind, you said, have to attend at least one drill a month. How many drills do they have per month each firehouse? 3? Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know.
And the training is drills on live, one drill that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
Oh. You have to, training, you have to attend 6 business meetings of your company. Have to make a total of 30 points. 30 points. Additional activities and activities could be working French fry booth, it could be clean up at the firehouse, things like that. Then you have to have your training. That was if you weigh out the 30 points. It's also a very small point, have to be off for. Have to. How that equates out. The other requirements to be a firefighter in good standing are you have to have. You want them. So the previous one, if you made your 30 points. So just take like. We're defining or trying to find everything together. That's going across the board. Equal in all of them, that in there. What was outstanding. Looked at the Robert Wolf one. Be a firefighter in good standing. You can and there was some our attendant show that there was. So hold that over, put that in. So. So now with this going forward, it's top that there'll be a percentage of fires that need to be attended. On top of the getting the 30 points and annual mandatory training and your physical. So the mandatory training is basically, dictated by OSHA. It includes, proper training on self-contained breathing apparatus. It'll be a fit testing, it's gonna be a classroom, and then it's gonna be a practical. Pending a live fire training here. Pending bloodborne pathogens. Out there, sexual harassment, job site harassment. So that the mandatory training, if somebody was to come down and look at us. Sure. Or if we happen to have a problem with individual in the department, did we properly train them in harassment, sexual harassment, SCBA, firefighting, like that? Those are part of the mandatory training. Miss one of those classes, you're out until you make it up. So that's what we have. That's what we are shooting for going forward. It's probably not all inclusive of where we should be. But being an incentive plan, we want to provide the incentive to the individuals so they come around, and also so that they better themselves. So I have a point system page here that I will pass out. This one.
Thanks, Jim.
So the point system, I love color, because it draws your attention to different things. And what you really see there is you see the red. And when we look at the red, those are the individuals that are not going to make it. So let's go with the layout first. First off, we have the firefighters by company. And then we have a look back to see where we were for 2002 or 22, 2023, 2024. And currently where we stand at this year. And when we look down through it, there's a lot of red. It shows a lot of red. Red is what we want to try to correct. If we look at the ones that come straight across, 2000 or started in 2022 and will go up to 2025, those individuals haven't improved their attendance 4 years. I don't really think that anything's going to make them improve their attendance. We can give them the rainbow, and I don't think that that's really going to help them.
If they're not attending anything, Jim, you still keep them on the books?
Yeah, you still keep them on the books.
Okay,
They just won't be receiving any incentives until they make the incentive program.
and the probationary firefighters fall into the same category as everybody else.
Probationary firefighters, first off, on the probationary firefighters, is they have to go and get state certified. If they're underneath probationary firefighters, they're usually in class to be state certified. And that is 160 hours long, a little bit longer right now, which includes, we send them to firefighter 1, firefighter 2, and hazmat operations. So they're in class for almost 5 months. And then they come out and they start earning their points to get.
Okay.
Just as far as the point system goes, this is the same point system that we've had in place for a long period of time. The only thing that we're adding here, as Jim said, is we're adding just those requirements that were as part of which other one? The stipend program?
It probably was a stipend.
It was a stipend. So the attend 30% of companies available calls.
30% is something new that we're taking that out of the Robert Wolf Not over.
putting that into here. So we're
Okay.
trying to, just to have that parity so
Yeah,
that,
because I don't think we had that clarification. Nobody really knew what was going on before, so this clarifies a lot of things.
And, you know, the incentive, yes, you give them an incentive to come around but they have to take the incentive or the initiative to better themselves or to make that. So, and I'm hoping that, you know, some of them will step up and come back.
Okay.
you,
They,
you have any, do we want to move on to the?
I was gonna go to the back page.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So if we look at the last page on there, we look at call volumes. Start off with before we get over to funding, I should have put it the other way around. Get call volumes. We can see that the call volumes are increasing, but they're not increasing that much. They're usually increasing about 30 or 40 per year.
Yeah, we got to finish it. Excuse me, folks, we have a fire commission meeting going on, so if you're gonna sit in here, we'd appreciate if we could keep the talking down, please. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay. So if we look at the lower section on the right-hand side, you see the 4 years, with the call volumes. You do see that there is an increase. There is some, increase each year, but it's really, when we look at the individual companies going out, not really that much. But total responses are on the bottom, and that's total responses for the town. That is not how many incident numbers we have. On the other side, on the right-hand side, you see where our funding is.
That, Jim, that 12/21, that's up to what date? 'Cause I mean, we're still in 2025. You got
That is up to today.
up to today?
Needed that today,
Okay, thank you.
right? So that is up to today. Funding on the other side, three things that we are looking at with this program, the current funding, and then we have which paid on call is 286,880. The additional duties, we are at 12,000. And the stipend is at 88,500. So obviously, the paid on call is when you go to an incident, you get a allotted amount of money. Additional duties are for station standbys, pub ads, things like that. The majority of that money though goes to covering both the fairgrounds and the town during the fair, 4 days of the fair. And then the stipend program is by rank and or by your level of training or association with the department. So that it by rank, by chief, right on down through the rank, by driver, firefighter. We're proposing that there would be a change put in there for a medical person, so they get some type of compensation for the time they spent doing their research, stuff like that. And for a training officer, one each from each company that does sets up the training, provides the training or schedules the training, and records the training. That's very important. A lot of hours are spent there. So with that being said, you see that the additional duties doubled. The additional duties doubled because we are going from a $60 event to a $100 event, the 4-hour event. And we last year have seen such an increase in requests for the fire service to come out and do things. Whether it is more activity in the community, and this weekend, they have a boat race down at Silver Lake. There has to be fire crews with boats down there on standby. The fair, as I mentioned before, fireworks shows. We're now having private fireworks shows in town, which is a requirement in the fire marshal's office that the fire marshals, that an engine out there why the explosives are on the ground. All bad. We go to every elementary school in town. We go to every daycare in town. As long as they request, they'll end up with two people out there in the fire truck out there and they'll go through fire safety. And these requests, we used to do just the schools. And now it's just expanding out and expanding out. And it's taking more and more time for the guys away from their families, away from their jobs. And it just rewards them a little bit.
Good. So I just want to highlight what's changed, what we're proposing for changes. So if you look at the proposed policy, as Jim mentioned, the paid on call. So we changed, there was an additional point system that said you received, I think, 3 points before, but we changed that to a monetary value to not conflict with the other point system that was there because it was a little confusing. So whenever a firefighter shows up to a call, they're going to get $30 for that call, which is exactly the same that they get currently. The differences that we're proposing is one, Jim had said that there are calls that go over 4 hours and that can be lengthy. And the request was for firefighters to get paid an hourly basis after a set amount of time. However, in speaking with their finance department, we ran into some trouble with that because if we pay by the hour, firefighters would then be deemed employees of the town, which would then pose additional problems. So instead of doing that, what we're proposing here is to double that. If a call goes over 4 hours, a firefighter would then be paid $60 for that. So that was one of the proposed. The other,
And that in the past 2 years, we've had 3 calls that have gone over.
But we
And-
still
and
wouldn't
not
have the issue
moving,
of it
not
being
moving.
employee, whether we're paying them by the hour or per appearance.
It's a Fair Labor Standards Act issue. If you pay
I'm
them by
fine
the
with
hour.
it. I'm just don't wanna jam us up down the road. I mean,
the other thing is that think of something like the Lamentation Mountain fire.
no, they definitely deserve it.
No,
More. I just wanna make sure we're not putting our payroll where somebody's gonna turn around and say they're actually employees.
well, we're not with this. If we did by the hour, and that's why we changed it from proposing an hourly rate, that would have,
So after the 4 hours.
after 4 hours, it doubles. You
Doubles.
go from $30 to $60. And
This way here, there's no hourly rate.
there's
It's
no,
just- it's just it's just basically it's either $30 or you can get $60. Simple.
correct. And so with that said, fires, we had that Lamentation Mountain tragedy and of course, this council did step up and I know this council feels very strongly that if, a tragedy like that would happen again, we would again look to something like that. The other change in paid on call is, as Jim mentioned, with additional duties. So those additional duties, which are fireworks, the Fair Fire Watch, and public appearances and education. If a firefighter performs one of those duties, they receive $100, and that's going up from $60 previously. And as Jim mentioned, that's due to just the nature of the demand for these public appearances and educational opportunities. And then the policy goes on to specify those additional duties and the requirements for firefighters to be able to be eligible to participate in additional duties, as well as the staffing requirements. So for the fireworks, for instance, you would have 1 driver operator, 2 firefighters and 1 supervisor, as well as a secondary crew of 1 driver, 2 firefighters and 1 supervisor. Public appearances, that's 2 firefighters per public appearance. So that is all specified in the policy. And then the last component of this policy is the annual stipend for the firefighters. And that is what we're also proposing an increase of. And so you'll see on the annual stipend, we're going from $800. So you're going from $800 to $1,000, so an increase of $200 for a firefighter, then an increase of $300 for a driver and operator, an increase of $300 per year for a line officer, and an increase of $300 per year for a chief officer or assistant. So these are, again, this policy hasn't been modified in over 5 years. So looking at this, it does appear that the firefighters are due for a stipend increase to reflect the times, as well as there's additional awards for training officers and medically certified firefighters and EMTs, $200 per year.
I actually budgeted for this over a year ago. And you go back to the last page, my estimates working on that is that that will not increase our budget at all. The only part that will increase our budget is going to be the additional duties. Primarily going from $60 to $100, the additional duties that being asked to do.
And what's your, when we proposing this to go in effect, Jim?
Still working out some final stuff on this, and we're gonna, have a conversation with the finance department. Make sure that we have everything in line and we're not setting ourselves up for failure,
Okay,
and we'll be back before you with the agenda item.
So
and how, I'm sorry, Ryan.
So, yeah, when Jim told me that this had been budgeted actually, this is the second year that this increase is in the budget, but we haven't updated the policy to reflect that increase. So the money is available in the budget. We just need to update the policy to reflect that. Aside from, as Jim pointed out, there is that additional $12,000 for the additional duties that we're going to have to talk with the finance department and come up with that. But my thought is that if the Fire Services Committee is satisfied with this draft policy, well, we can then bring it to the full council for the next meeting and get the funding in place so that when we bring it to the full council, the funding is ready and when we can move forward with this. It's up to you if you want to convene another meeting of the Fire Services Committee or if you want to.
Well, I thought you said you had to go over a couple more things.
We'll-
Once you go over a couple more things and it's finalized, and I would recommend that you bring it back to the committee before we bring it up to the town. Because we want to be sure that everything, you know, all our i's are dotted and t's are crossed. So once we bring it up to, I was talking here, Charlie.
I don't know what the outcome of the Robert Wolf is. Assistant Chief Ray Hans is here from East Berlin. He sits on that committee in which they're now looking at the benefits package as far as insurances and possibly increases to the Robert Wolf. Robert Wolf allows for $500 for a firefighter for a year of good standing. The problem with that is that it's shallow. You put 10 years.
Well, that's fine.
Can I just add, this is just the first step. This policy does not address the Robert Wolf pension program, which we are looking at separately. So we're going to have to reconvene the Fire Services Committee for that. And that is time because the Robert Wolf pension program hasn't been updated since 2007. So we need to get on that as well. And so that'll be coming forward next. But as I told Jim, for the sake of time, let's get this policy updated.
Yes, that's a
first,
good idea.
and then we'll get the Robert Wolf.
Good idea, Ryan.
So we're just trying to tackle things as we can, and it is due. It's been over 5 years. What we could do is we could convene another Fire Services Committee meeting at the next meeting, our second meeting in October, and then if the committee agreed, we could have it ready for that council meeting that same day, if you want to do that.
Well, what about this, the stuff that Jim just said you gotta go back on?
Well,
Yeah.
what I gotta go back on is I gotta come up with the budgetary figure of that if this took place January 1, what would be my additional duties
Okay,
and what the proposed or the anticipated expenses. what would be the increase in looking at, as I get closer to the end of the year, this, this spreadsheet that I provided you, that could change.
Okay,
And what it is, it's hard to do a yearly thing when you're only 3/4 away through it.
so I mean, if it's, if you can have that ready, and you don't feel we need to meet, but I think that you should have everything prepared so we don't have to go back again.
Just want to make sure it's right.
So why don't we give them the time to be sure it's right?
I have,
Do you want to set up
I-
a meeting then for 2 weeks? Okay,
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
so 6:30 again, October
Yes.
21st.
I have to get my capital approved, so I'll be here.
Before, close the meeting, can you approve the minutes from Steve?
We did.
Oh, you did, never mind, we're good.
I made the motion and Donna seconded, Ryan.
All right, okay, you ready to adjourn?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, you can have your seat, but all yours.